let's talk about some of the worst credit cards ever made. And I mean cards that are so bad, it makes you wonder if they were actually created as a joke. From outrageous fees to literally no perks at all, or both, these cards are absolute stinkers of the credit card world. And thanks to y'all's help through the credit community Discord and the YouTube community post that I made a few weeks back, today we're actually diving into your picks for the worst of the worst. This video is definitely going to make me hated by a lot of these companies, but that's okay. The feeling's mutual. Let's just get into it. Let's start with the least awful card of the bunch and work our way up to the more sinister ones, with the Disney credit card kicking us off. While Disney World may be the most magical place on earth, the Disney credit card is quite the opposite. I hate to break it to the Disney fans, of which I know we have a lot of here on the channel, you know who you are, but let's be real, the Disney credit card is just not it. Sure, you can get a cool design with your favorite Disney character on it, but I hope you enjoy paying $49 per year to get that cool design, because that's about the best thing that this card offers. To give it some credit, the welcome offer ain't bad at all, especially right now with the elevated offer of earning $400 for just spending $1,000 in the first 3 months of having it. But outside of that, honestly, this card is pretty useless. One marketing bullet I noticed on their website that I think is particularly dangerous is that you can finance Disney vacation packages on this card at 0% interest for 6 months. And I'm sorry to be blunt about this, but if you need to get this card in order to finance a Disney trip, I would reevaluate whether that's the best financial decision to make in the first place. It's not like things are cheap once you get to Disney World either, and this card honestly doesn't help you out that much there, giving you 10% back at only select dining locations at Disney World and Disneyland, and 10% back on Disney merch options. I guess 10% back on a $7 churro is something, but for a $49 annual fee, I'd rather pass, especially whenever you consider the fact that the rewards earned on this card are Disney dollars, which can only be used for Disney merchandise purchases or select experiences. So really the only saving grace about this card that I've found is that it is offered by Chase, so they're not going to have super predatory rates or anything like that on it, of which we're going to see a lot of on the cards to come. Now let's move from the land to the allure of the open sea. Oh, but what's that? It's cruise line credit cards. Oh no. These cards promise dreamy vacations but deliver underwhelming rewards. You're locked into spending your points on cruises, and the earning rates are so low that you'll find better value by looking for buried treasure. Plus, the cards usually have high interest rates as well, so if you're not a die-hard cruise fanatic, these cards are going to sink your wallet quicker than the Titanic. For example, the Carnival World Mastercard by Barclays is one of the lowest rated out of all customer reviews, and that's mainly due to the fact that it has horrible earning categories, lack of any credits and benefits, and high interest rates. A really killer combo, I know. This card's going to give you a grand total of 2x back on all of your Carnival Cruise Line purchases, but outside of that, you just get 1% back on everything. That's really bad, y'all. And further than that, you can only redeem those points for statement credits towards Carnival purchases, onboard credits, or amenities. And that's just one of the cruise line cards, but all of them are basically just copy and paste of the others. And while they're not doing anything egregiously wrong here, I'm just baffled at how mediocre they are. Like, their sign-up bonuses are nothing amazing, and their ongoing benefits are easily beaten out by even just a simple cashback credit card. So I can see why a lot of y'all mentioned cruise line credit cards while these were not ones that I even considered. And speaking of lackluster benefits, this next card is one of Amex's worst credit card offerings, particularly from their main line of credit cards, that being the Amex Business Green Card. Honestly, Amex really dropped the ball with this one. The Business Green is essentially the starter pack for business credit cards, except it costs $95 annually and really gives you nothing in return. The rewards are basically non-existent. You'll get 2x back on all travel booked through Amex, and then everything else is just 1x back. So you're effectively paying $95 for a card that gives you 1x back on everything. And I know that actually shocks me too. And I scraped their website looking for some kind of benefit that would justify that fee, but it really doesn't have jack. Meanwhile, its competitors like the Chase Ink cards, or even one from the same lender, the Amex Blue Business Plus, are just miles ahead of this one. Even Amex knows that this card must just be there to upsell you to something better. It's not even one that I would consider for a welcome offer because that's just so low. So I just don't really know why you would ever get it. As you may have noticed recently, the Federal Reserve has announced another interest rate cut, which means that the interest that we earn on our bank deposits are going to continue to drop, and there may be corresponding volatility in the assets that are associated with these policies. However, there are still great opportunities in this economic period, and if you want to take advantage of them, I suggest you try out Moomoo, the sponsor of this video, who I've been using for a while now. Moomoo is an investment and trading platform that empowers global investors with pro-grade, easy-to-use tools, data, and insights. Whether you're interested in staying high level and exploring global market trends, or understanding the nuances of just the United States market, for example, Moomoo has you covered. Through Moomoo's cash sweep, you can currently earn up to 8.1% APY for a limited time, meaning that even in this lower interest rate environment, your uninvested funds can still generate significant interest income. Plus, the cash sweep supports daily interest accruing, and you can withdraw or deposit money at any time, which is very helpful. You can also try investing in stocks with Moomoo if you choose to, and if you're worried about needing to do a ton of analysis to understand which stocks may benefit from large economic trends like these, don't be. You can just open up Moomoo's investing theme page and find data on which companies could benefit the most from something like the Fed rate cuts right now. You also don't need to be worrying about getting out at the right time thanks to Moomoo's conditional orders. For example, you can set up a stop loss conditional order that allows you to automatically sell your position at a price you're comfortable with if it does start to drop, therefore stopping your loss, which is very good for risk management. The icing on the cake with all of this is that you can sign up for Moomoo today with the link down below. It gives my US audience a special promotion of up to 15 free stocks, a $30 cash reward, a 1.5% cash reward on your initial transfer to the app, up to $300, and up to 8.1% APY for 3 months on your uninvested cash through their cash sweep. Don't forget to click my link below for more details on the terms and conditions and to sign up and make your deposit to claim those free stocks. Okay, now let's move into the more fun cards. And by fun, I mean pretty dangerous, honestly. These aren't just cards that are lackluster, but actually predatory in the sense that they target people with either no credit or poor credit, starting with the Open Sky Launch Secured card. Open Sky is branded at people who are rebuilding their credit, which I think is great. It's needed in this credit card space. But tell me why it has a $36 annual fee with no real rewards with it. You're basically paying for the chance to use a credit card and build credit history, which is just never worth it with the free options we have out there that do give you some kind of rewards. If you need a secured card, you're much better off going for something like the Discover It Secured that at least gives you some decent earning rates and the ability to product change up to a better credit card in the future with no annual fee. And oh, I forgot, with this Open Sky card, you actually only get charged $24 in the first year, and then the $36 is for every year after that, and you get to pay that annual fee monthly actually, which is extremely annoying. If you've watched my content for a while, you'll know how important it is to keep your oldest credit card accounts alive. That way you prop up your average age of accounts. And of course, Open Sky knows this, and that's why they probably get you in with a lower annual fee in the first year and then charge you more for the years to come because they know it's probably going to be one of your first credit cards that you have to keep open if you want to prop up that average age of accounts for eternity. There are ways to get around these bad business practices though, and I'll talk about that later. But with this card in particular, just know that their customer reviews are riddled with horror stories of poor service and mysterious fees. Let's go ahead and take a look at their Better Business Bureau ranking, which I'll do for a lot of these pretty bad cards coming up. And yikes, there's really not much to love with this card, is there? Let's fly on over to the Sparrow card now, and oh boy, is this one a doozy. Its cute website markets the card as a simple, no-frills credit card, but here's the catch. Those no frills include no benefits, no rewards, and no competitive features. The annual fee is sky high for a card of its low caliber, at $59 for the first year and $99 for every year after that, which is charged at $8.25 per month, and that's a theme that we're going to see for a lot of these predatory cards. And honestly, I think the only thing that this card and its cute little mascot are soaring away with is your wallet. I just feel like it's so dishonest to market this card as the credit card guiding the overlooked and underserved to financial freedom when it's doing the exact opposite. For you to even just break even by holding this card every year and earning 1% back on all of your purchases, you have to spend $9,900 on it, and that is just insane. This was a niche card that I hadn't heard of before making this video, but at least we all know to completely avoid it now. Enough picking on the small guys for now. Let's move to the big boss of terrible credit cards, Credit One, and more specifically, the Credit One Platinum for rebuilding credit. This is the lowest rated Credit One credit card by customer reviews, and while practically all of Credit One's credit cards are doo-doo, this one takes the crown for the worst. This card is criticized for its high annual fees, $75 in the first year and $99 for every year after that. Of course, billed monthly at $8.25. Its high APR, which is above 29%, and of course, its limited benefits. While it offers 1% back on select categories, mind you, like eligible gas, groceries, mobile phone, internet cable, and satellite TV services, the rewards are always going to be overshadowed by the mountain of hidden fees. Other Credit One cards like the Platinum X5 or some of their co-branded cards may offer slightly better rewards depending on the cardholder's profile and spending habits, but overall, their entire lineup is reviewed pretty negatively. Credit One is really seen as like a last resort for people who need to rebuild their credit, but I'll say time and time again today that there are so many better options out there these days that won't charge you any of these fees and give you some real rewards back. So don't fall victim to these companies that send you all of these mailers and try to trick you into getting a card that's actually not going to help you at all. And taking a peek at their Better Business Bureau rating, I must say I am impressed. Having that low of a score is truly an accomplishment. I could talk more about this Capital One ripoff all day long, but instead, let's just leave it at this. Credit One is where customer service and transparency go to die. Let's keep it rolling with another cult classic in the garbage credit card space, Luxury Card, specifically the Luxury Black and Gold cards. These cards are as luxury as those fake designer handbags that you can buy like in the middle of Times Square, but one way that they do stay true to that luxury name is the fact that they charge eye-watering annual fees of $495 and $995 respectively, yet offer you benefits that you can get for a tenth of the price. Sure, these cards almost look sleek, but so does monopoly money. And the fact that one of their main selling points with their cards is the weight of them, and that just shows the audience that they're targeting. People easily tricked by glitz and glam. Focusing in on the gold card specifically, first of all, at the top of their card page, they'll show you that the card is made out of 24 karat gold. And spoiler alert, you can find the exact same card for like less than $200 elsewhere. So paying $995 a year for that perk is just a null point. You should not be considering that at all. But as for its benefits, it'll give you a global entry or TSA pre-check credit, a $200 airline credit, and a Priority Pass Select membership. But you can get not only those perks, but so much more for a card with a much lower annual fee. Like with my Chase Sapphire Reserve, I get the same global entry or TSA pre-check credit, a higher $300 general travel credit, a Priority Pass Select membership, plus access to the Chase Sapphire lounges, a 50% boost on my points through their portal, access to Chase's transfer partners, hundreds of dollars in partner benefits with Lyft, DoorDash, etc., and so much more. And that's on a card that is $445 cheaper than the luxury gold card. Speaking of Chase, I want to touch on how Luxury Card shows a graphic here that their cards are leading the competition with their redemption rates. And looking at the cashback graph, you can see that they actually do blow all other lenders out of the water by giving you a 2 cent per point guaranteed redemption for cashback. However, what you may not realize is that this $995 card only gives you 1x back on all of your purchases. That actually goes for all of their cards. They just give you 1x back. So to do an example for you, let's say that you have a $1,000 trip that you're wanting to book on the Luxury Card versus the Chase Sapphire Reserve. With the Luxury Gold, you'll get 1,000 points for that booking. If you booked with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you'll get 3,000 points for that booking. And with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, those 3,000 points would be worth $30 in cashback. So while the Luxury Gold does give you a 2 cent per point redemption rate on those 1,000 points, that's still only going to be worth $20. Not to mention with the Chase cards, of course, you're going to have access to those transfer partners where your points can be boosted much past a 1 cent per point redemption rate. And that goes for every transferable currency credit card. It's just going to blow these cards out of the water. So if you want actual value for even cheaper, go with a card like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, Amex Platinum, or Capital One Venture X, and save yourself the embarrassment of pulling one of these things out. Oh, I forgot to mention too that these cards are actually owned by Barclays. And if I would have known that before I made the tier list of all of the top credit card lenders, I probably would have moved Barclays down at least 1 tier, maybe even 2. Okay, now we're getting into the cards that are actually like criminally bad, starting with the Indigo Mastercard. This card comes from Celtic Bank and of course markets itself towards people with poor credit. But this card is so predatory and I just pray that nobody actually falls for their marketing. Before we even get into the card, let's check the Better Business Bureau ratings for Celtic Bank. And hey, we got a 1.54, which is better than some other lenders, right? Unfortunately though, this card doesn't even live up to that rating. So get ready for some mind-blowing details. This card has a 35.9% interest rate. And while credit card interest rates are typically very high, this is on another level. Opposite to a card like the Open Sky launch that we talked about earlier, the first year annual fee on this card is higher than all of the consecutive years, $150 in year 1 and then $49 for every year after that. And while you may think that's very nice of them, just wait, there's more. It also has a $12.50 monthly fee attached to it, which is $150 per year on top of the annual fee. And luckily, you don't have to pay that in year 1, but you get the pleasure of doing so every year after that. So overall, this card costs you a minimum of $175 in year 1 and $199 every year after that. All for what perks, you may ask? Absolutely nothing. Well, I guess you do get 1.5% back on all of your purchases and the privilege of paying extra for some of their optional features like over limit coverage and credit protection. What a steal. Unfortunately, it does not get any better from here with the Milestone Mastercard and Earniva Mastercard from the Bank of Missouri with a 1.03 Better Business Bureau ranking. The fact that this bank put out 2 absolute stinkers like this shows how little they think of their customers. And actually, both of these cards are exact carbon copies of the Indigo Mastercard we just covered with the same 35.9% APR and $175 to $199 total fees every year. But the one difference between the Indigo and Milestone card and the Earniva card is that the Earniva card is actually a business credit card. Wait, but what is this? This card is going to report to all 3 credit bureaus, meaning that it's actually not a business card at all. There's not even a place to put any business information on their application. So the fact that it's marketed as a business card is really odd, to say the least. And while I wish I could be done with this set of credit cards, there's yet another copy of the exact same terms with the Destiny MasterCard offered by the First Electronic Bank. So once again, we have the same annual fee, monthly fee, high APRs. And at this point, it's obviously no coincidence, especially when all of these cards actually have have like the exact same application page. Looking into each of these cards closer, I found that they're actually all created by Concora Credit with a whopping 1.15 star rating on Better Business Bureau. So yeah, Concora, maybe y'all should try a different business strategy than ripping off vulnerable people trying to rebuild their credit, because obviously this is just not working. And of course, it's safe to say at this point that the Indigo, Milestone, Destiny, and Earniva cards should be avoided with a 100-foot pole. I wish those cards were as bad as it got, but there is one card that is worse than all the rest: the First Premier Bankcard. I know you may think it's crazy that anything could be worse than those Concora cards, but let's just take a look at the terms and conditions of this one. At first glance, you'll notice that this terms and condition pages is designed horribly, and that's our first red flag of this card. But if I do zoom in a bit closer, you can see that their terms change depending on the credit limit that they've given you. After adding up the fees for each of these cards, it looks like you get the most screwed with the $500 credit limit. So I'm going to assume that anybody applying for this card probably gets a $500 credit limit so they can squeeze every ounce of money out of your pocket possible. With a $500 credit limit First Premier Bank card, you have three main fees that jump off of the page. First, the program fee is $95, which is a fee assessed to you for them activating your card, basically. Newsflash, First Premier, nobody else does this. Like, what are y'all doing? Second, you have a first year annual fee of $125, and every consecutive year, you have an annual fee of $49. And third, you have a monthly fee of $10.40, which comes out to $124.80 every year after the first year. So with this card, in the first year, you're going to pay $220 to use it. And every year after that, you pay $173.80. And don't get me started on all the other fees they charge on top of this. They have a $29 additional credit card fee, which is obviously free with all of the beginner cards that I've talked about on my channel. You have a credit limit increase fee of 25% of the credit limit you're approved for, which is completely brain dead. A $3 fee for each paper statement that you request from them. A $35 express delivery fee for a lost, stolen, or replacement cards. Like, what? And I imagine that's not all. That's just some of the craziest ones that jumped out to me. Oh, and I forgot to mention here that they don't even pretend to give you a 35.9% APR like those Concora cards do. They just give you a flat 36%. So at least they're somewhat honest there. And guess what you get with this card? Hey, absolutely nothing once again. This time I mean it too. Like, this card offers nothing in return. I know I've said it a lot in this video, but it is truly bewildering to me that a company can market products as bad as this and as predatory as this towards vulnerable people who are just trying to get their credit in a better place. If that's you and you're watching this video, for one, I'm really sorry that you got tricked into applying for one of these cards. But if you did, I would suggest adding a different beginner credit card right now, specifically one with no annual fee like the Discover It Cashback, Chase Freedom Unlimited, City Double Cash, or literally any beginner credit card from a more reputable bank that just won't charge you these insane fees. And then at that point, I would cancel the predatory card that you're stuck with. Even though, like I mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily ideal to cancel your oldest credit cards. With these scam companies, this is the one exception to where I would say you need to cancel them, since they usually don't give you any way to downgrade to a free product. So since you're stuck paying an annual fee on a card that literally does nothing for you, your only option to save money is to cancel it. As long as your account is in good standing before you cancel it, that card will age on your credit report for another 10 years. So as long as you open that second beginner credit card like I just talked about, by the time that first card does fall off of your report, you'll have plenty of credit history to help you out, and your score really should not see any negative impacts from that cancellation, except for the fact that you'll lose that credit limit. But if they're only giving you a credit limit of like a few $100s, then that's really not going to impact you at all. Unfortunately, we only scratched the surface of the worst credit cards out there, and just know that if I didn't mention the card that you recommended I do, I just truly appreciate you contributing to the video overall. And here is a couple of screens showing y'all's responses, even if they didn't end up making it into the final cut. I guess the best thing I can tell you now is that there are a ton of amazing credit cards out there. So just please do your research on these cards, like go into their term sheets and read more about them before applying so you don't get stuck with one of these horror stories. And if you want to see the only 5 credit cards I believe everybody needs in their setup to be successful in the credit card game, go ahead and click into this video next. As always, Odin and I really appreciate you watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.